Well, by now, I'm sure you heard what happened to Charlie Kirk earlier today. He was on a brand new tour. He was at a Utah university. And when I was looking at some of these videos, unfortunately, I wish I never had, to be totally honest with you, but one came across my screen. And I think it will highlight just how far from humanity we have actually come. Now, normally I give things like this, a little bit of time because you want to get all the details and all that. But all we know right now is that Charlie Kirk had his life taken from him because somebody believed that a bullet was better than debating ideas with him. And so when I share this video with you, I want you to keep in mind this is people that are talking, just minutes after this situation happened. And I really don't know what's going to come from this, but I know one thing, man, we got to really kind of take a step back and get back to our humanity. There's a lot of issues that we're going to kind of, tag along the way, in my opinion. And of course, I'd love to hear yours, man. What is your opinion? When it comes to political violence, is there a certain time in your life? Remember, we have some older people that watch the channel too. And I'd love to hear from you guys, man, because I learn a lot from y'all sometimes. You can pinpoint like a time in history where it seemed like political violence ramped up or ramped down. Whatever your opinion is, respectfully leave that down below. And of course, this video is, with all due respect to Charlie's wife, his family. He's got a young family, dude. It's an absolute tragedy. One that's happening way too often, in my opinion. But we'll talk about it. Leave your opinion down below. Let's go and jump right in. So let's watch part of this video.
A lot of people that are like, no matter what side of politics you're on, you should never celebrate something bad happening to someone. I, on the other hand, do cheer when bad things happen to bad people.
Charlie Kirk just got shot.
Okay, Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, starts, a brand new tour, and he's speaking at, Utah State University. And before he even gets there, there's like 1,000+ signatures for, people that just do not want him there. Now, that's pretty significant. And rightfully, the university said, hey, we support free speech and the free exchange of ideas. He's coming. But think about how dangerous they see him if they don't even want him at their campus. And unfortunately, when you watch a lot of these debates, whether it be, Charlie's debates or other people, and let's just be honest, Charlie Kirk does something that I don't think most people, even people in politics, have the balls to really do, right? Call people up that disagree with you to the front of the line and not attack them on personality or things like this, but challenge their ideas. The problem is, even when you look at some of the news footage, if I can find this clip still, I will put it, somewhere in here, where they're already kind of demonizing who Charlie Kirk is moments after he was shot. It's not, we're praying for him and his family. He's got a young family, by the way. It's none of that. It's, oh, he's a Trump supporter and all this kind. They're playing into it. They're doing, and I'm talking about they, the media, they're doing the same thing that's led to a lot of this. I talked about this in a recent video too, but I'll mention it here as well. I feel like the media it takes a lot of blame for all of this, because if you only watch one side of the aisle, you only get that information. And so if one side calls people like Charlie Kirk or Trump or President Trump or anybody else, basically the second coming of Hitler, then you might actually believe that. And it's clear watching this video that I just showed you, some people do. And this political violence really ramped back up in 2016, right? So you have Steve Scalise, Brett Kavanaugh, President Trump, Charlie Kirk. And to be fair, you've had people on the other side of the aisle targeted as well. I don't know if it's as prominent, but it also could be a matter of optics too, right? Because the bigger the profile of the name, the more you're going to hear about it, maybe the more you think that happens to one side or the other. But it certainly seems like it's happening more to one side than it is the other. And here's what's concerning. I think, one study showed that there was 4,000 cases of some kind of political threats in 2017. That jumped up to over 9,000 in 2021. Here's the most concerning thing. 1 in 5 Americans, according to some reports, say that some form of political violence might be justified. That's insane thinking. And these are some of the same people that feel like, they're fighting for their democracy. They always say that. We're a representative republic. I just want to throw that out there. But they always say, oh, we're fighting for our democracy. Yet they will celebrate somebody that lost their life for an opinion that they hold. I saw one news report where the reporter was like, oh, we don't know if this is a political violence. This could have been somebody that was in the crowd that was, maybe celebrating the event. It's like, come on, dude, really? And if you notice, they never want to rush to conclusions when it comes to somebody they don't agree with. But show a video of white on black crime especially, they will jump to every conclusion in the book right off the rip, and they don't mind doing it. The point is, no matter who it is, right? I don't like Gavin Newsom. Right? I think he's a terrible governor. I think he's terrible in a lot of ways. I would never want to see that happen to him, or just insert any name in there that is against guns, against gun rights. I think a lot of what they do breaks the Constitution. I think a lot of them don't believe in the Constitution. That doesn't mean I want to see this ever happen to them. I want their ideas to be under the weight, and them to be under the weight of better ideas, good legislation, that they either have to shift on these ideas or they get voted out. If you break that down into a scale like 1 out of every 5 Americans, you're talking still about millions of people that are sympathetic to things like this happening. That's alarming. And social media has its part in all of this too. It's created this kind of, barrier between people in the reality and the real world and the virtual reality almost, where you can say and do anything you want anonymously, or you can show your face. Doesn't matter. There's no real world consequences from that. When you have no idea who's reading that comment, who says, yeah, I never thought about it like that. These people really are the devil. You add that with the mental health crisis in this country, you are asking for more of these things to happen. And this is nothing new, right? Political violence spiked, of course, in the 60s, 70s, kind of somewhat died down in the 80s, but there was still political violence then. There's been political violence all the way through, I guess, but there's been certain periods. It's just now is a more elevated time. And again, it's just a lack of empathy for other people. And honestly, I believe that in a lot of ways, they feel like their ideas are so fragile that if somebody is able to break those ideas down, there's only one option left, and that's to take them out. We've seen that quite a bit. Charlie Kirk lost his life, unfortunately, because somebody thought that a bullet was the only way they could stop his ideas, not realizing that Charlie built a huge fan base with millions and millions of people that think just like him and will continue to carry on what they've learned and what they believe. And, some people are already calling for gun control. We knew this would happen. I can assure you, like, even in that moment, Charlie Kirk was debating gun control, right? He was super pro-gun. He'd never blame the gun for the actions that some people take, because we know evil ideas and evil people will use whatever is at their disposal. We got to get to the point, man, where we stop demonizing people. This goes from the media to social media, and get back to reality. Because in reality, when you're debating people and these different ideas, whether it's at work or it's at school or whatever, you don't see this level of violence. But unfortunately, behind a screen or behind a camera or whatever, you get this idea that people are not real, right? Somehow they're expendable because they're not a real person. And unfortunately, a great person was lost because of this. It's absolutely terrible, tragic, and prayers to Charlie's friends, his wife, of course, his young family. It's super tragic, and that's where I'll leave it. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one, and as always, hold them down.